Imagine this. You're a soldier. You've been trained. You've marched. You've endured harsh conditions and obeyed every ridiculous order barked at you. You survived World War I. You've seen battle. You fought for your country. And now, your government has summoned you once again. A new enemy is threatening the nation. You grip your rifle tightly, heart pounding, adrenaline surging. But this time, you're not facing tanks. You're not facing bombs. You're not even facing humans. You're facing emus. Yes, the big, feathered, googly-eyed, prehistoric birds. And not just one or two of them. Tens of thousands. Welcome to the Great Emu War of 1932. Australia's most ridiculous, baffling, and hilarious military campaign. A war that actually happened. A war that ended with the birds winning. This isn't satire. This isn't a movie. This is real history. Let's go back and find out how a bunch of overgrown chickens took on the Australian military. And won. It all began in the dusty aftermath of World War I war. Australia, like many countries, was trying to get back on its feet. Soldiers were returning home, and the government had a brilliant idea. Give the veterans farmland in Western Australia. What could go wrong? Turns out, everything. These lands were remote, isolated, and about as fertile as a plate of dry toast. Still, these men, tough as nails and full of that post-war I-can-do-anything spirit, tried to make a living growing wheat and raising livestock. But life in the outback is never easy. Between unreliable weather, crashing wheat prices during the Great Depression, and poor infrastructure, these farmers were already struggling to keep their heads above water. And then came the birds, emus. You see, every year around spring, emus migrate from inland Australia toward the coast. This time, their path took them right through those new farming settlements, and it wasn't just a few birds. Oh no, it was an invasion. Picture it, more than 20,000 emus. Giant, squawking, 6-foot-tall birds with long legs and zero respect for property boundaries, marching through wheat fields like feathery bulldozers. They stomped fences, trampled crops, and gobbled up precious grain like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. To the farmers, it was a nightmare. To the emus, it was Tuesday. The farmers tried to stop them, of course. They shot at them, built higher fences, and even tried scaring them off with loud noises. The emus simply shrugged, well, as much as a bird can shrug, and kept doing their thing. Desperate, the farmers cried out to the government. And in a twist of fate that would go down in history as one of the most over-the-top responses to a pest problem, the government sent in the military, not pest control. The military. Armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery was dispatched to Western Australia with a few soldiers in tow. Their mission? Assist the farmers in dealing with the EMU threat. That's official language for, go shoot some big birds. Now, let's pause here. At this moment in history, somewhere in a dusty part of Australia, a group of battle-hardened soldiers was preparing to engage in combat with flightless birds. No, this is not a Monty Python sketch. This is Australia. The plan was simple. Spot the emus, sneak up on them, and mow them down. Easy. Except emus are not dumb. They are surprisingly fast, running up to 50 km/h, 31 mph, and scattered in all directions the moment they sensed danger. And they always sensed danger. The first operation began in November 1932. The soldiers spotted a group of around 50 emus near Campion. They set up the machine gun. The birds approached. Closer. Closer. Fire! The gun rattled, and chaos. Most of the emus bolted immediately. Only a handful were killed. The rest vanished into the bush like feathered ninjas. It was an embarrassing start. The second encounter? Even worse. The soldiers tried, mounting one of the machine guns on a truck to chase the emus down while firing. It sounded cool in theory, like Mad Max, Bird Edition. But in practice, the terrain was so rough that the gunner couldn't aim properly, and the emus outran the truck. Not only did they miss all their targets, but they almost broke the gun. You read that right, the birds outran a military vehicle. By the end of the first week, over 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been fired, and only around 200 emus had been confirmed dead. That's a hit rate of less than 10%. Worse, some emus survived multiple hits. Meredith himself wrote about one particularly stubborn bird that took several bullets and kept running for nearly a mile before finally dropping. He described them as having an extraordinary power to resist bullets. The soldiers started joking that the emus were armored. One soldier even claimed the birds had learned military tactics, using decoys to lure the humans into ambushes. Another swore the birds had generals coordinating flanking maneuvers. You can almost imagine a group of emus in a makeshift war room. All right, boys, today we split into 3 divisions. Johnson, you zigzag to the east, distract the humans. The rest of us will raid Field B for barley. Operation Waddle is a go. Back. In Parliament, the public started hearing about the war. The newspapers had a field day. Headlines screamed, "Emus outwit diggers. Birds 1, humans 0. The emu menace continues." It was a national embarrassment. The press compared the soldiers to cartoon villains who couldn't even beat a bunch of overgrown turkeys. After a few weeks with mounting ridicule and poor results, the government quietly called off the operation. The military left. The emus stayed. Final score? Emus. Thousands. Humans. Embarrassed. Now you might think that's where the story ends. Oh no, the farmers still had a problem. The emus were still rampaging across their land like feathered gangsters, so a second attempt was made. Less public, more careful. Meredith returned with his team for round 2. This time, things went slightly better. They used more strategic ambushes and fired more conservatively. In a month, they reportedly killed around 1,000 birds with about 10,000 rounds. That's a 10-1 bullet-to-bird ratio. Not great, but hey, progress. Eventually, Meredith's unit was withdrawn, and the government said, enough. From then on, the emu problem was left to the farmers, who were later given bounties and support to handle the birds themselves. In the years that followed, farmers adopted new methods, including fencing, which helped keep the birds at bay. And the emus? They just kept on being emus. To this day, they wander freely through the outback, unaware that they once defeated an actual army. The Great Emu War became legendary, a case study in government overreaction, logistical failure, and the absurdity of military bureaucracy. It's used in textbooks to show how not to conduct a military campaign. It's cited in comedy routines, memes, and YouTube videos. There are songs about it, books, cartoons, a video game called Emu War. There's even a petition to turn it into a movie starring Chris Hemsworth. And why not? What other war ends with the losing side shaking its head and going, "Mate, we got outsmarted by birds. So, what have we learned?" First, never underestimate your enemy, even if that enemy is covered in feathers and looks like it lost a fight with a hedge trimmer. Second, don't bring a machine gun to a bird fight. And finally, remember, Australia is a land where spiders are the size of dinner plates, kangaroos can punch you in the face, and apparently, emus can win wars. So next time you're having a rough day, just remember, at least you're not Major Meredith, standing in a dusty wheat field, holding a jammed machine gun, watching a bunch of emus sprint off into the sunset. Victorious. Like stories like this? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more unbelievable but completely true tales from history. And if you ever go to Australia, maybe pack some birdseed and a white flag, just in case.